To the regular council meeting of the city of Cross Lake. It's August 12th at 7:05 p.m. and let's stand for the pledge.
United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, everybody, we got a full agenda here tonight, so I historically hate to cut people off, but I'm going to try to keep this thing moving along. First order of business is I would like to introduce Lori Conway, our new city administrator. It's awesome to have her on board, and I want to show just a little gratitude for Jerry Bonzek, who is going to stay here as long as we need him. So, it's very, very much appreciated. First order is additions to the agenda. We've got some additional bills for approval. We've got a letter from Dave Nevin to R.L. Larson, proposed crushing operation at the exchange lot. Cindy Migoto of the Chamber of Commerce, permission to host Cross Lake Days Chili Cook-Off. And approval to close Pioneer Drive Cornhole Tournament, street dance. We've got an MOA with Teamsters to approve new wage schedule effective 7/1/24 through 12/31/24. And we're going to cancel making a motion to approve the amendment to the land use ordinance establishing an R2 zoning district. So I need a motion to approve those additions.
I'll make a motion to approve the additions to the agenda.
I'll second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. First, we've got a public hearing, vacation of dedicated easements within Pinewood Cemetery. Phil, are you going to take this, or no? Who's going to? Jerry, you're going to?
We purchased a couple of lots and made an addition to the cemetery. Those lots were pre-existing lots that actually had a drainage and utility easement along the sides of it. In order to plat new cemetery lots that are whole without any easements, we would need to vacate the easements that are not necessary on that original plat. I think there's a
Resolution to vacate?
In your packet is a copy of the original two lots. There's also a copy of the resolution and the proposed replat of the cemetery lots.
I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution vacating the property and the dedicated easements that are on the property now.
I'll second that.
Is there any point in reading that resolution?
I don't know, but should we take public comment, if any?
You should take public comment before you really finish this up, because it is an official public hearing.
Okay, so can we do that in the midst of a motion?
I think you could open it up for public comment, and then you could make your motion.
Okay. So do we have to vote on that and let it die and then start over?
Just open it up.
Fine.
Does anybody have any public comment on the vacation for the cemetery? Not seeing any movement, we'll close public comment.
Vacation at the cemetery.
And we'll just resume with the motion.
I think you
All in favor?
call
Just
it.
say all in favor.
Just-
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. All in favor. Public forum. Action may or may not be taken on any issue raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issue will be placed on the agenda of the next regular council meeting. Speaker must state their name and address. Anybody have anything? Oh, man, we got a whole herd of them. They're ganging up on us.
The pickleball mafia.
Is this a coup?
it's
Peter
cool, I'll
Graves,
leave.
14131 Sugarloaf Road. I'm going to be the only speaker. They're just standing here supporting me. You don't have to listen to them. And even though they don't know what I'm going to say, they're willing to stand here behind me. So that's impressive. This is to do with the new pickleball courts that are going on and how they tie in with the master plan that TJ is going to be talking about later this evening. Last month, we shared with the mayor and the city council that we had reached the $70,000 goal to support the building of additional pickleball courts and to meet the demands that we have during the summertime of how many people are coming into our community and wanting to play. In conversations with TJ, we believe that we have sufficient money collected through the annual pickleball fees, the daily passes, the advertising banners, to meet the full $100,000 that was the initial estimate for the cost. So we think we've got it covered to do what we want to do in terms of the finances. However, beyond the dollars needed, I think it's critical for the council to see and hear about some of the network of support groups that have made this possible and that stand ready to lend support to the community center master plan that TJ will be speaking about later tonight. I have asked a number of people to stand with me tonight to illustrate the commitment of Cross Lake residents and various involved groups to improve the outside sports activity of this community. I'll start with Alden Hardwick, somewhere right behind me, who is the current chairperson for the PAL Foundation. PAL has a lengthy and successful history of providing financial structure to inspire, collect, track, and direct donations to specific park and library projects for the benefit of Cross Lake and the surrounding area. There is a Cross Lakers group that is represented by well-established residents such as Jonathan Grothy, also put here. This group provides a catalyst for ideas and a vision of a thriving Cross Lake. They help to incubate visions, provide guidance, and articulate them to the public through a lens of where is Cross Lake been and where do we want to go. There is the Cross Lake Ideal Lions Club, of whom Mike O'Connell, as well as many other people in this room, are members. And as stated in their creed, the Lions are here to serve. They provide financial and physical support for many individuals, groups, and projects throughout our area that make it a better place to live. The Cross Lake Pickleball Association is represented by Mark and Mary Jo Fritzwald and by Ann and Dave Schrupp. They and many other volunteers have chosen to volunteer their time helping with Camp Kimchi, the April Foolish Day Tournament, the Dog Days of Summer Tournament, and many other activities that help make Cross Lake a focal point for pickleball. And finally, tonight, I am representing the Cross Lake Park and Recreation and Library Commission. And that group is charged with reviewing and providing recommendations to the City Council on matters related to our community center and our park system. And in that capacity, I stand before the Council with our Commission's strong recommendation to support the Cross Lake Community Center Master Plan for outside activities and for Phase 1, the continued growth of pickleball opportunities as part of that plan. TJ will provide an overview of the full plan and ask for the Council's support in moving forward with a goal of the beginning Phase 1 next calendar year. The people standing here and the groups that I mentioned are just a small sampling of the various entities willing to move forward with our support. Thank you.
Thank you, Peter. I just have one question. I have one question for Mike O'Connell. Do you,
He thought he had gotten clean.
Mike, as a representative of the Lions, can you tell me when the peach truck is going to arrive?
I cannot, but our moving van is fully available.
What?
I cannot tell you
Oh,
that
okay.
date, but our van is available for it.
Well, you,
August 27th is when we're anticipating that.
okay.
Yeah,
Well, Mike, you
that's-
have my number, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
All right, anybody else for public forum? Not seeing any movement, we'll close public forum. Next, the consent calendar. All items listed are considered to be routine by the city council and will be acted on by one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless a citizen or a council member so requests. Anybody have anything?
I move to approve the consent calendar.
Motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, motion carries. Okay, a mayor and council members report. Mike England and Michael Connell would like to come up and speak about the Lake Trail Initiative.
Thank you.
Mike's got a surprise for us today.
Yeah, so thank you, council and City of Cross Lake and everybody present in the room and online. As promised, I wanted to come back. This would be the 1-year mark of when I asked for the permission from the City of Cross Lake to take on an exploratory initiative of creating off-road bike paths, walking paths, non-motorized, for the safety of our citizens, all ages, residential, lakeshore, recreational with the resorts, and year-round and seasonal. So just give you a great update of where we've gotten in the last year. We've done a lot of due diligence coming down this road. We've partnered with a lot of people to pay for that first feasibility study on Phase 1. That was where I saw the need of 2 existing bike paths that go nowhere. Right across of Riverside Restaurant on south of the dam of Silver Sands Road, and at the corner of 103 and Perkins Road, County Road 103 that leads down to Perkins Park, South Bay Park, Corps of Engineers. So living in that neighborhood, I just kept seeing that there's tons of people on the roads year-round in different capacities. There's the 55 mile an hour County Road 103 and 3 that are heavily traveled. There's a East Shore Road Trail that is less traveled, but is a smaller city road with a lot of service providers of mowing lawns, caretaking for the properties. There's East Shore Townhomes, there's Golden Horizons Senior Housing, there's residential and lakeshore properties. So I thought that to get the safety of people off our roads is imperative, and especially as the growth of our area has become what it is. Unfortunately, when I gave that presentation 1 year ago, the next morning a young girl got hit on the County Road 3. So it unfortunately is a need. And we have the benefit of being in a community that is more fortunate than others, that we can find ways to provide these needs. And my goal has been to alleviate as much of the city's expense, county's expense, taxpayer expense as possible, and stop just kicking the can down the road, so to speak. So we, with the help of Mike England and with Seth Smith and Nolting of donating their grant writing team, we've had numerous meetings, bi-weekly, monthly, of what grants are available out there that we can go after. With the City of Cross Lakes permission and the Ideal Township permission and Crow Wing County's permission, we piggybacked and applied for Safe Streets for All grant that we're waiting for the announcement. And as time happens with grants and government, it might take a little longer than they said. So I didn't want to continue to sit on the sidelines and wait. So while we're waiting for that, hopefully we do get awarded. If we don't, we will resubmit for that and hopefully get awarded next year. But I don't want to keep the progress from moving forward on the promise that I made of East Shore Road. So I've worked with each department of the city of Cross Lake, strategically with Whitsett Smith and Nolte, their engineering firm, and TJ, of what is the master plan of the trails, with the Public Works Department to work on what is the 5-year plan of the roads, and how do we fit into that, and how can it make sense. Harbor Lane Trail off of County Road 16 goes to the city limits of Cross Lake and then feeds into Ideal Township. Where TJ is showing on the map, there's those 2 circles on the north sides of it. One is Bayview Lodge and one is Boyd's Lodge. So that got us the opportunity to partner with resorts and the scenic byway of the Paul Bunyan Trail. I was looking at something to do in the off-season, I guess, and not be bored and do a 1.7 mile trail. This is blown up to now go outside of the city limits to have funding that is regional, county, state, federal. And with the partnerships of other people that have jumped on board of the initiative that started, the master plan goal of this is at some point on County Road 16, connect Cross Lake to the Paul Bunyan Trail. So it has now become very lofty, but I want to continue to work on East Shore Road where our community has a need and fall into TJ's master plan of where the trails can be in our area. So I've reached out to people that I knew are directly affected on Phase 1 East Shore Road. Golden Horizons has provided a letter of support for the use of their road right away. The family of the Bill and Debbie Florschiner that live on the path have provided a letter also. They have also noted a couple concerns that I want to have full transparency and understanding with that, so I appreciate them bringing those concerns so there isn't any misrepresentations or conceptions. For the public, their concerns were that the possibility of losing trees in their front yard and how the feasibility study would fit inside the road right away. So we met with them and talked about that it's a case by case on each lot, and we would work within the road right away as much as possible and with each owner to save the natural tree growth that's mature. And like they have done with Seth Smith and Nolte and other surrounding communities and our own community as well when that has been an issue. So we will do our due diligence to best appease and accomplish the concerns of those neighbors. And funding of the project, they were under the impression or questioning whether or not they feel that since the path is available, they didn't want to be assessed. They were unaware that Cross Lake does not assess for bike paths, and that's where I came up with the granting fund to establish that. As I'll let Mike Anglin and Whitsett Smith and Nolte talk about how grants work, matching funds in that, and then wrap up with any questions. We also have a letter that TJ that I got from the 3 levels of the Chamber of Commerce. Let's see, Pequot, Cross Lake, and the overall Brainerd Lakes Chamber of Commerce to their support and how it can influence what's currently happening in our community and the benefit to our community. Okay. So that's just in 1 week's work of after getting the grant schedule of what we're working on with the Seth Smith and Nolte Grant Department. So I will use the off season this year to further that. And I'll let Mike Anglin talk about where we are on timing of grants and participations. And then I'll follow up and end with any questions.
Thank you very much, Mike. Yeah, great job summarizing where we've been the last year. My name is Mike Anglin. I'm an architect at Whitsett, and we've had the pleasure of working with Mike and the Lake Foundation and a lot of organizations, a lot of cities, townships in Crow Wing County. It's been great working with city staff, and this map was really a great thing to put together, and working with TJ, and it's just really exciting to see what could be in the Cross Lake community. So as Mike had mentioned, we have submitted a grant, and it's for the Safe Streets for All. And what that is a planning grant. And so we are supposed to be hearing back any day now. And what we would be able to do is roll right into planning. And When we initially took a look at this, as Mike stated, we did a feasibility study for the East Shore Road Trail, and then our funding specialists and our team recommended that we take a step back and think about this regionally, because when we go after some other funds, you garner a lot more support, and that's exactly what happened. So we had a lot of great meetings, and then we're able to put together a regional plan that makes the Cross Lake community much more competitive when you go after very specific grants. And so we're hoping to hear back on that. If awarded with that, what we're going to go after is the Safe Streets for All, the implementation grant. And so that would be the next phase. And we're also going for the Federal and Minnesota Transportation Alternatives Program, or TAP. You've probably heard that phrase before. And of course, all of these just have timing. You get one, and then that gets you prepared for the next. But also, with receiving those grant amounts, as you're aware of, I'm sure there's a match required. And so as we're now beginning to have some conversations with folks about where that match is coming from, we really feel comfortable with that now because we've got a roadmap, so to speak, about what grants we're going after and what we're going to apply for and the timing of that. So it's been a great process. Again, thank you to all city staff that's helped out over the last year. It's been much appreciated. And so we've got a very solid team put together, and we're excited to hear if we get awarded this grant this month and what happens next.
Awesome.
So thank you.
So a part of that, as I look at the grant for the Safe Streets for All, is a grant of $1,350,000. And then the required match is $270,000. The other match that we're going for is $550,000 TAP grant with a funding match of $110,000. So to go along with the promise and the initiative of not trying to spend tax dollars, have set up meetings with local foundations and have them on board to support this, as once they find out if we get it, then I will get a hard commitment of the dollar amount that they're willing to do to absorb this amount of money. I have meetings with Essentia Health as we're passing their clinic, and this could be a health initiative. Resorts, as this could be a recreational initiative. Safe Streets, schools routes, so we are doing education, all of that. But then I also went just today with Mike Anglin and had a meeting this afternoon with private residents, and we had a firm commitment over 6 figures today to help raise from two individuals that will give us 6 figures for this path. If we accomplish this, they want us to come back to them for the next path, and so on. And we told them our plan of going to the Paul Bunyan Trail, and they were ecstatic about that, and they heavily want to be involved in that. So we have some very generous community members here that have already stepped out without us even being on first base yet. So it's very promising. I hope to come back with good results that we will be asking for little to no money from the city of Cross Lake and our tax dollars that we can put elsewhere as promised. So I appreciate your guys' confidence in allowing us to explore this initiative that we believe is going to be a very great endeavor for the future of our area as a region, let alone Cross Lake. If we can connect Cross Lake to the Paul Bunyan Trail, call it the Blue Ox Trail, and it wings off to us, the health, I can't see any negative to this initiative, and I appreciate your guys' confidence.
That's awesome, Mike.
Appreciate your effort, appreciate your efforts, Mike, too. Yeah.
Next, we've got a memo from Lynn Sharonbrock about the Linda Euland Memorial Garden. Is there anybody here to speak to that?
Yep, so Lynn contacted me and asked if I could put this in the packet for tonight's meeting. And this is the garden that is right by the future roundabout on the core property. And they've identified a potential business that could help them take care of that garden to make it beautiful and all the maintenance that it takes to upkeep it. And she was just seeing if the city of Cross Lake would be interested in funding a portion of that upkeep, since it is located at the entrance of our city. I did not receive a specific amount If this is something you're interested in, I can go back to Lynn and try to pinpoint an amount and come back with you, or come back to you with an update if that's what you want.
I'm just going to ask if you consider talking to the Corps, if they would be, willing to contribute to the
I could certainly do that, see what they're thinking about contributing. I think in the quote, it was $20,000.
Yep.
They've identified a $2,500 donation. I know they're actively working on other organizations, individuals as well. So if this is something you're interested in, I can go back and contact Lynn and the Corps and see to what level the city could give money.
Ms. Conway, is that something that the city can
Yeah, I was wondering the same
do
thing,
that?
Dave.
Do we take public funds and put them toward a garden like that?
I think so.
Right.
I can jump in here too.
Where
What was that?
did
I
that
didn't
come
see Lori,
from?
so I thought I'd hop in too. I apologize if Mr. Lori here.
Jordan, you're kind of muffled. We didn't understand your comment.
Yeah, can you guys hear me okay?
Yep.
I thought I would just jump in. I didn't hear that Lori was responding, so I just thought I would pop in and kind of give my thoughts on this as well. So I apologize, Lori, if I interrupted you.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is one, I think we had a similar issue pop up a few months ago. But in order for it to be a valid public expenditure, you have to have both a public purpose, but also it has to be authorized by statute. And so off the top of my head, I'm not sure which statute we'd be attaching to, and therefore there'd be an issue with whether it's a valid public expenditure. So it sounds like it's not on city property, right? It's just kind of as you're coming into the city. But if you'd like, I could dig into the facts a little bit more and see if there is that statutory authority. But I guess just off the top of my head, I would have concerns about this being a valid public expenditure.
Would you be able to work with Jordan and figure this out?
I will contact.
And then
Okay.
let him know whether he knows to go back or not. Thank you.
Okay, Jordan, did you hear that? Lori, we'll get a hold of you and try to figure it out.
Sounds good.
Okay, is that it?
Nope.
We'll just look into it.
Okay.
Okay, now we have a resolution accepting donations. We have got donations from the Cross Lake Firefighters Relief Association for $4,343.91. Purpose Tables and Chairs. Greater Lakes Association of Realtors, $5,000 Trailhead Kiosk Project. Cross Lake Pickleball Association, $820 pickleball lines and basketball court. John Bergman, $70 pickleball donation. Alex Rad, $30 pickleball donation. Placid Lake Advisors, $1,700 contribution to finance consulting fees,
Well,
which is a very generous donation.
I move to approve all of the donations included in this resolution.
Second?
Any other comment? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, next we got an ordinance amendment, adding Personnel Committee back to Chapter 2 of the City Code. So this has come up through all of our union negotiations and our stuff, and we've come back to the resolution that it'd be best to have a Personnel Committee to do these meetings. The Personnel Committee consists of the mayor, council person, city administrator, and who's the fourth?
It would be one appointed.
Lori needs a microphone.
Typically, it would be one department head, but if a department head is a steward of a union, then we would go to an employee with longevity that would be a good sounding employee.
Okay, well, whoever that employee might be would be the fourth person. And I want to appoint Sandy Farter as the other Personnel Committee.
Dave, I think you better figure out if we're actually going to do this or not first.
Oh, okay. The horse before the cart?
Yep. The thing of it is, Dave, Marcia made the motion to do away with this quite a while ago. And it was done because the committee had become an adversary to staff. And staff had a point where they could not trust. We ended up with 100% of our staff as union members consequent of this committee. I don't want to see this come back in while I'm on the council. I want no part of it of any kind.
Okay, Sandy, how do you feel about it?
You know, just because of all of the negotiations we had lately, and we keep having to use our, labor attorney, I feel like it would be a positive, personally, to.
Jackson?
I mean, I guess I see Aaron's point. We seem to always come and go and come and go and come and go on this issue. I guess I really don't, this was prior to me being on council, so it's prior history.
Same.
So I don't have new history with it, but I get both points.
So do you support the personnel committee or not? Do you like the council acting as a whole to be the personnel committee?
It's a lot of meetings. I will say that. The meetings get old, but I think once we all go into a meeting together, we all leave the same meeting having the same idea, which I do find beneficial.
And they're all public meetings.
Yeah.
Marcia, what's your feeling?
Well, I guess the reason that we got rid of the Personnel Commission is because the council as a whole they all wanted to be involved. So I guess that's where it all came into play, is that the whole council wanted to be involved in the personnel issues.
And do you feel that's still the way it is now?
I think a personnel commission would be good, but also I understand the rest of the council in its entirety being involved in the personnel issues.
Well, doesn't the personnel committee just make recommendations to the council?
Then why waste time with the committee?
Yeah.
Because then the whole council doesn't have to participate in all of the preliminary meetings.
We're going to be participating in it anyway because we're going to ask the questions, and we're just going to rehash everything.
Well, not
So
necessarily.
I think it just keep it for 5 months. 2025, do what you want. 2024, leave it alone.
Is it fair for me to ask your guys' opinion on that, or no?
I would love to provide my opinion.
Okay.
A personnel committee is going to hear the issues on the table. It's easier to resolve with a smaller group and hear that. And then it's up to the personnel chair to then disseminate that information to the rest of the council. And there still can be discussion with the rest of the council, but it would also help by having a personnel committee to use the art of negotiations with a union. That's an important factor.
But you didn't understand the fear that ended up in the employees because of how the committee was set up. Council ended up taking over for a valid reason, and that reason is not gone.
Well, Aaron, weren't there different people involved at that time than currently in place now?
Some, but no, the key ones are still here and would be involved.
Jerry, do you have anything you want to voice?
The last 5 months of going through negotiations with special meeting upon special meeting upon special meeting seems to be a very ineffective way to conduct negotiations. There's public meeting laws that you have to worry about, notifications, those type of things. It just doesn't lend itself to getting to resolution in a very quick manner. And so I would endorse the personnel committee. I think it's really worth a try to try to find a more effective way of doing things than meeting in special meetings at all times.
Then do it in 2025. Leave 2024 alone. I'm adamant about this, folks. I watched the fear, I listened to the complaints, and I watched the people squirming every time that committee met. And this is wrong to bring it back and bring back the memories.
Okay, let's take a vote on it.
Well, do we make a move?
Make a motion. Who
Okay.
supports the Personnel Committee?
Okay, I move that we do reinitiate a personnel committee.
I'll second that. Any other discussion on it? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, we'll give it a college try.
Okay, all opposed?
Nay.
I didn't hear from you, Marcia.
Well, I'm in favor of it, but one of the things is I'd like to be considered for the Personnel Commission, though.
The mayor and one council person has got to be on the commission.
Yeah, I'm asking to be considered for that position.
And it's my understanding that you're running for mayor, so in the event you get it, you'll be on the commission.
But we're starting now in 2024.
Wasn't the makeup of the Personnel Committee last go-around an issue?
Are you talking about names?
Well, I'm talking to you, yes, talking about names.
I don't think I'm understanding you,
Okay,
Jackson.
I'm not going to get into it. I don't want to be the one to open it up.
Okay, so we have 3 people, I believe, that supported.
You had 4.
4? Okay,
Yeah, I did. I said yes.
so she supported it. So motion carries. We now have a personnel committee. The mayor is automatically on the personnel committee, and I would like to appoint Sandy to sit on the committee. Do we need a motion to do that? Okay, I make a motion that we appoint Sandy. Is there a second?
Can I second myself? I mean, I'm happy to do it, but, I mean, I don't feel that strongly about it, but.
Okay. All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed?
Opposed.
Okay, well, motion carries 3-2. All right, that's done. Now, next we have Dan Miller, long-term planning and permitted uses in limited commercial districts. Dan, all respect, I'm sorry, all respect, but I mean, we're not going to let this go too long, so.
Dave, I'm going to be very short, brief. I think most of the stuff that we were going to talk about, I think just got pulled a little while ago. I was just going to push this off, but I just want to remind everybody here, you've still got 3 developers that are pushing storage developments. They've got significant investments. They paid for preliminary applications, they paid for final applications, and they paid all the park and rec fees, and you guys have everybody tied down yet. We don't have any decisions on this yet. We all understand this as commercial use, the storage buildings, and so does the county, and the county actually wrote this ordinance. As far as lifting the moratorium, we don't think that has anything to do with what we're doing. That is, according to your ordinance, it reads that the accessory structures are in a residential area. We're all commercial or light industrial. That's all I've got to say. I would just like to see you move forward and try to clear this up because, I mean, the selling season's almost over. You've had everybody tied down all summer.
Okay, Dan, are we still waiting to hear something from the attorney? Or has that gone by?
I really don't know. I don't know the status of that at this point. I think Paul would be the one that would.
Paul, can you answer that question? He's on there.
Yeah, so we are still waiting on the attorney for a couple of different things. One, an amendment to our current moratorium, as we discussed in our planning commission meeting, along with an amendment to the land use table. The planning commission has made numerous changes to the land use table that we are looking to bring to city council soon. And then we are also making some changes to some definitions to our land use ordinance. So yes, all of these are in the works. They've been discussed at numerous workshops, and we are working with the city attorney right now to get those written up how we want and presented in front of you.
Is the city attorney responding? I mean, are you in active negotiations with him?
I have been in discussions with the city attorney, both Jordan and Joe. They weren't able to get some of the documents for this meeting, so we'll have to push them, to the next meeting. But yes, those discussions have been back and forth on getting that verbiage exactly how we want and how we want that to read in our land use ordinance.
So Paul, it's my understanding that the Planning and Zoning Commission, that committee was going to make a recommendation that the first 400 feet or the first 400 feet of a development or more, if that's how deep the lot was, would be released at this meeting. And I see that's been pulled. Why has that been pulled? And to be honest with you, most of us that are developing property, we are in limited commercial or light industrial. And if you look at your land use table, it says accessory structures 2,500 feet or less and accessory structures 2,500 feet or more. And that is listed under residential related uses. It has nothing to do with limited commercial. This moratorium has nothing to do with storage. It's your
So yes, and under accessory structure, well, couple of things. Going back to your first point, we are still working on the verbiage to actually lift the moratorium outside of the corridor that the Planning Commission has designated. We've discussed 400 feet from the road right of way on both sides of our main corridors that we've identified, which is County Road 66, 3, 16, 37, and 66. So that is in the works to lift the moratorium outside of that corridor. Still working on that from the verbiage side to actually bring that to the city.
Going back to what I just said,
to your-
residential related uses is what your moratorium tackles. Accessory structures in residential and related uses. That
So
doesn't have
it-
anything to do with limited commercial, and it has nothing to do with light industrial. This is your table. I am reading it verbatim.
Yes, and under accessory structures, it also calls out that it is a use in the limited commercial district. An accessory structure is for both residential and commercial. It's itemized in the residential land use table because more often than not, it is for residential use, but it also clarifies in the land use table that it's permitted in the limited commercial district as well.
I guess I can't find that part of your.
It's hard for me to show you here, but if you, under accessory structures, and as you were pointing out in the land use table, up above you have Shoreland District, R5, limited commercial, light industrial commercial, and under limited commercial, and then you go down to accessory structures, there's a use in that district that is signified.
I don't believe I do, but, well, at this point, I would just like to say that it would be great if we could move a little faster with this. You've got three developers tied down that had the understanding when they bought into these developments, this is what they would be doing with the property, and now we're changing the rules in the ninth inning without an ordinance change. We're changing the rules.
Let me get Jordan's opinion of that. Jordan, can you come on for a sec?
Yeah, and I was just going to jump in and kind of note the timing issue. In part, with the moratorium we have, it set forth as a year, right, where you conduct this review, gather information, determine what, if any, clarifications can be made in the ordinance, right, so that we have clarity moving forward. And so I understand the process of kind of focusing on a corridor and amending the terms of the moratorium to that effect. But it's also important to make sure that there's clarity once that happens, right? That we have the land use tables in a position that makes sense and that gives clarity to all involved, right? To the city developers as well. So that's kind of where we're working to make sure everything is clear so that when this is rolled out, which I think everyone agrees with, they would like to see soon, there's not just this vacuum where there's still questions, there's still confusion. So that's the point I just wanted to make on timing.
What is your timing on it, Jordan? Do you have a feel for when you're going to have something to us?
When you have an issue like this, where there's a potential modification, amendment to a zoning ordinance, you need a public hearing. So that's another piece that potentially extends the timing. But in the next few months, we'll be able to gather more information, put together documents, have that public hearing, and then proceed from there.
In the next few months.
Yeah, and the planning commission has been meeting almost bi-weekly. We've had a number of workshops. We are trying our best, and trying to put our best foot forward to get this moratorium off. We understand the hardship. We understand there's people that are waiting out there to develop. We are meeting as much as we can, trying to make decisions, and putting, and looking at what's going to be the best for the city long term. So we're not sitting around,
Last
wasting
comments
time.
before I sit, Paul. I appreciate that. I've sat in on all of those meetings except for one. At the last one, it was my understanding that they were going to try to release after the first 400 feet. I didn't see it on the agenda.
So why was that pulled, Paul? Was it on the agenda and then it was pulled off?
It was it was voted on by the planning commission to be recommended to the city council. At that point, we needed to clarify exactly how we wanted that stated, both in the land use table, by definitions, and rework an amendment to our current moratorium. And those things just couldn't get worked out in order to meet today's deadline.
My last comment.
So yes,
I'm
it
gonna sit
wasn't,
for you,
yeah, it
Dave.
was in the works.
My last comment, and then I will sit down. We have a new planning administrator. We have a new administrator for the city, and we have a new attorney. Everything ran very smooth. The ordinance has not changed. This is not about accessory structures. This is about commercial building. Thank you.
Thanks. Dan? Okay, well, we should see something at the council level to take a look at it as soon as we can. I mean, it might require, Paulie, you can still hear? It might require a special meeting or something, but.
Yep, and we have an additional workshop tomorrow. Like I said, we're trying to work through this. We understand that it creates hardship, so we're working as a committee to lift these restrictions or to have answers for the community and put the what's going to be best for the community long term.
Okay. All right, thank you, Paul. Now we got a 2024 road improvement assessment discussion.
Was this a physical handout or just a discussion?
Okay, what's the discussion?
If we're going forward or if we're not?
Road assessment, okay, so we're going back to, yeah. So we're going back to Moen Beach and the private ones and.
Oh,
I still have got a problem with part of the assessment. Two particular neighborhoods, Moen Beach and Chatham Park. I went through Chatham Park today and it appears to me that over 50% is that as gravel. Are we plowing gravel roads there? But part of my gravel.
Right, that's the part we do not. That's the part we do not take care of. We stop plowing where the gravel starts.
Okay, but that's right in the middle of the road, it just stops.
We have to pull it off, turn around, and go back the other way. It's a real pain.
And those roads are approved city standards and they're all,
Blacktop ones, yeah, they're all part of ours.
okay. Well, I would like to make two changes. I would like Chatham Park to have an assessment of $400 apiece for each one of them because they are individual family homes. They're just not owned because they're rented lots, but a lot of people have lived there for 10+ years. You know, it's a residence. In Moen Beach, it's a private road, and, you know, I mean, we've beat this up back and forth, but they pay for all of their road improvements, maintenance, plowing, they pay for everything there. And now they're getting an off-road assessment of $1,000 apiece, which I,
Dave, do you mean just Moen Beach, or do you mean the
well,
other
probably
private roads?
all of them. Moen
Okay.
Beach is one familiar, but all of the similar roads to that, yeah.
Dave, I agree with you on that. It bothers me as well, that they're being assessed that much.
So.
I was thinking the same thing about Chatham Park, but when I was talking with somebody else, they had brought to my attention that those are, like you had just stated, rented. So how are you going to charge somebody who's renting? Usually someone who rents doesn't pay for major maintenance
You're going to charge.
like that. How are you going to?
You're going to charge a landowner.
They pay
Charge the-
$450 each per month for fees. Yeah, they do.
I'm just saying they don't own the land.
They don't own the land.
No, I know, but they pay the person who owns the land.
You can charge the landowner.
Well, or charge the guy who owns the land, you know, and then he'll charge.
Okay, yeah, okay, yes.
There
okay.
is an
I thought you were-
assessment to the landowner, is there not, Phil? The landowner is being assessed.
Okay, that's what I was going after.
$500 for the whole property.
That's what I was going after.
Correct, Phil? No, I know, but I mean, that's what it is.
So we got a letter,
Come on up, Phil.
a letter from, I can't remember her name, and I don't even know the name of the street, that first street where it's got rentals in there. What's,
Parkview Lane, Sandra Payne,
so that's a street there, right?
that is a private road.
That's a private road? Okay, so then if that's a private road and they maintain it, are you saying that road too is out?
And
So it'll
Daggett
just
Court
be
is another one.
primary.
As well as
There's
Carefree
two others that are in the
Drive.
same-
Carefree Drive,
What's that?
Carefree Drive. Private,
That's a townhome one.
Yeah.
So if you're going to say that, so you'd take the townhomes off too.
Well, or put them at $400, or who else gets charged $400? Somebody doesn't.
Nobody gets charged 400.
I thought I saw that on the
500 for
assessment.
the townhomes or the condominiums.
500 it was, okay.
I think that those on the private road should at least have their assessment reduced by half.
But,
And then what do we do with Chatham Park?
I have a problem with secondary roads because where do you start and stop? And you're going to choose which secondary roads should be assessed. I think you should just stick with the primary roads and be done with it. Because sooner or later, those other roads are going to be assessed. Or a private road, if they're not going to take care of their road anymore, they could bring it up to standard. They
If you
got to
go
pay
in
for
the
the full
future
amount.
and you do Dream Island Road, where it's accessible, not just a seal coat, but a mill and overlay or a full depth reclamation, then the circles and everybody off them would be assessed, a secondary benefit.
Everybody out on Dream Island already got assessed, I think.
What's that?
Everybody out on Dream Island didn't get assessed? No, I'm not talking about up for Daggett Pine, I'm talking about when they did their Dream Island Road, whatever, when they did the bridge and all that out there. Didn't they get assessed? No?
If we're plowing gravel roads, think about,
Said we're not.
okay, we're not, okay,
The whole thing is I think we paid an assessment on that Dream Island Road.
So assessment policies found, following what you did in the past. On Birch Narrows, you assessed a road that went off, it was private, you assessed them a secondary benefit, which was half of the assessment. That's what we're following, that's what the Public Works Committee followed on Moen Beach Trail, Daggett Court, Parkview Place. And I guess we didn't even think about Carefree because Carefree was identified as part of the townhome condominium group, and they would be 500 per parcel.
Yeah, but I mean, I just feel that Bowen Beach and those secondary roads that are private roads that they maintain, they plow, there always will until they bring it up to city standards, should have a break, more of a break than half.
Every person along there has a driveway. Some are paved, some are gravel.
Every person on Daggett Pine Road,
Yep. And we're assessing them.
they got direct access.
So they're responsible for their driveway.
They got direct access to the
Right.
road. Right. They don't have a road to
And,
maintain themselves.
and
They
our
have a
point, I
driveway.
think the reason the secondary benefit is there is because Moen Beach Trail, Parkview, and Daggett Court require access to Daggett Pine. That's their only way in and out. They're on a private drive. They just have an improved private drive.
Wilderness, too.
So if you, ultimately, this is your decision, but keep in mind, you're making decisions that now when we go through to the next one, we have to say, well, we chose to go differently
I know.
because of this.
I know.
So precedent doesn't always carry the water, but consistency is really very powerful if we're going to defend these. I do want to say this about Chatham Park. The basis of assessing them, the 3,500 now, is because we only improved Daggett Pine Road. They have interior roads that aren't all public, but they do have an interior road that when that gets improved, are you going to assess them again? If you up their assessment now, and we do those internal improvements that are adjacent to these not lots, but rental locations, how are you going to handle that?
So the people in Chatham Park who are not on blacktop, who we do not plow, really virtually are not getting an assessment either.
Not yet, because we also have to do Wildwind, or the road off where you live, but going south, what's that called?
Wilderness.
Wilderness
I think
Trail.
it's all- used to
Going
be
south,
Bechtel Road.
there's still another city road. So we have a city road on Daggett Pine, we have a city road that comes on Wilderness Trail, and then we have internal roads, not
But
for
when
the
you
whole
do
thing.
that city road on Wilderness Trail,
We have more,
are you gonna assess the
Yep.
gravel roads back behind them?
yes. Because that would, what we look at is their access.
But Phil, I'm guessing that there's 40 places in Chatham Park, and it's a guess. And if they were to pay a $500 assessment, it'd be $20,000 would be what we would be assessing that neighborhood. Instead, we're assessing at $3,500.
Today off of Daggett Pine.
Yeah. And that just seems like it's, I mean, they've got as much access as anybody does. So I don't know what that breaks down to per lot, but it's probably less than $100 is what they're
Again,
being assessed.
we don't look at it as how many buildings are on there because they're not properties. They don't have an identification number. The mobile home park is, what did we determine? There's 2 or 3 others in the city? They do create a unique situation. You know, as we told you, if we went right off of what the benefit of the opinion of market benefit we got, some of these larger lots would see assessments of $25,000 to $40,000. We don't think you have a chance in hell of defending that. So, I mean, pick your plan, but understand what it does in the future and be able to defend it. Because what we've brought to you is a defendable plan in our estimation based on the history in which the city has assessed.
Thank you.
Phil, what did the Public Works Commission bring to us? Is that what you're citing?
That's what was brought out at the public improvement hearing.
And this is what we've used on at least 2 past,
It's what I've only been involved in the.
Birch Narrows.
In the 2022 road improvements. That was Birch Narrows, that was Wildwind Ranch, and that was also Rushmore Boulevard.
so the 3 of them, and that's how we assessed on those 3?
Birch Narrows was the only one that had a secondary private road on it.
And we assessed that?
We assessed half.
At this
assessment.
level?
Everyone on the road got assessed 4,000. They got the secondary got 2,000. But that was a larger construction project. This was just a mill and overlay.
Yeah.
So what you're doing right now is consistent with what's been done in the past?
Yeah, except we haven't had the mobile home. That's probably a new wrinkle.
Okay.
We've had large lots in the past. We choose to treat, differing lot size very similar. And I've told you in the past at the public improvement hearing that some communities say if you have a 40-acre lot, they turn it into what could be if we're allotted out. And that gets to be a big number. And it usually brings people to meetings. So, anyway.
I'm going to make a motion to go ahead with the proposed road assessments.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion? I can't decide how to vote on this.
Well, I think, Bill, your explanation, it made it more clear for me, and I appreciate that. And I understand why the folks on the private roads object, but I also see your rationale behind it, so.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Hell, if you're going to vote for it,
Motion,
I am too.
Marcia, I don't think you should vote. I think you should abstain.
It's no benefit to me. Wow, okay, I'll abstain.
All right, so I'll vote aye too, Shar. So it's 4-1, or 4-1. Okay,
Who voted no?
nobody, I voted aye, I went with them. All right, now we got a letter from me to R.L. Larson. So R.L. Larson, I'll just give a little background, has got a crusher. They're on-site crushing the materials for the road. The first phase, we talked them in, they were going to set it up at Exchange parking lot, and we talked them into taking it down to the Public Works area to do it because of noise and dust. The second round here, they're going to move it up to the Exchange for half of the second phase. The other half of the second phase, they're going to move it down to by Dollar Store. So I'll read this quick note that we thank you for meeting with Tim Bray and the mayor this afternoon. The topic of the discussion was a proposed crushing operation at the Exchange lot. The following is a recap of the items that were agreed upon. The Exchange lot can be utilized for crushing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, September 16th through the 19th. Crushing hours will be limited from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Water suppression during all hours of crushing. Dust control during all hours of crushing. So that's what we agreed to. I don't need to read the rest of the letter, do I?
You want to?
No. So that's just information. Cindy?
Good evening, Cindy Mugato with Cross Lake Chamber of Commerce, and I am here this evening to let you know that Cross Lake Days is coming up, September 26th through the 28th. That's a Thursday through a Saturday. We have arts and crafts all over town. The Log Village would be having their evening event. There's family fun planned for the whole community, live music at pretty much every establishment in town, a cornhole tournament, a chili cook-off, and activities for all ages. I need a motion from you to approve the Cross Lake Days Chili Cook-Off to take place on Saturday, the 28th, from 2 to 3 p.m. That's in accordance with the Minnesota Department of Health regulations.
I'll make a motion to approve the chili cook-off.
I'll second it.
Shar, are there any permits or should there be applications on file? No? Okay.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries?
I said 12 to 3 o'clock.
But it's really 12.
She has it right in the minutes, or in the agenda. The second thing is I'm asking permission to work with Cross Lake Public Works to provide barriers and cones for the closure of Pioneer Drive between Ace Hardware and Reed's to host the Knights of Columbus Cornhole Tournament, which takes place from 10 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. And then it rolls right into the Cross Lake Street Dance, which goes from 2:30 till 7. So I'm thinking 7:30 will give them the buffer to remove the barricades and things from the street. I did talk to Steve Stroshine this afternoon, and that Pioneer Drive is not a part of the Phase 2 detour. So that road should be available for those activities. And he is going to do his best to make sure, well, he's going to make all the other roads available. And I want to stress that part of it. Last year, according to an automobile placer, we had 7,000 vehicles through that intersection in front of Andy's. So the people are coming, and we need the streets to be open for vehicle passage from Manhattan Beach Lodge to Town Square to the Cedar Chest and everything in between. So I did share that with Mr. Stroshine, how important that is, and he said he would do everything he could to make sure that the contractors are aware of that. So whatever pull you guys can have in that issue, it's critical for our business community to have a decent event this fall. It's been a rough season for them. No snow all winter, it rained all spring, road construction all summer. They need some economic boost that this event will surely bring. So, back to my permission to close the street.
I'll make a motion to approve the closure of Pioneer Drive on September 28th from 10 a.m. to 7:30 p.m.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Okay, city administrator report. Who's taking it?
Shared.
By default, I guess. The first item is just an information item. It's notification of some state transportation aid. We'll be receiving approximately $56,750, just an FYI. I believe Marcia asked about that aid about a month ago. And
Did we receive it already? I thought the payment was
We
supposed to
did.
come in July.
We got it.
Okay.
the second is a letter from Daniel Otterson, who damaged his shoes while walking on the.
Aren't you going to read the letter?
Can I read the letter?
No, let's just move on.
I'll read the letter.
Damaged his shoes while he was walking on the road while they were doing seal coating. He is claiming that the city was negligent in the fact that it wasn't signed, and therefore we should be reimbursing him for the cost of his shoes.
No, I'm sorry.
Let's move on.
That's what? Well,
Well, we have to, council action.
yeah, we got to.
I'll make a motion, we don't pay him for his shoes.
Second.
Okay, any other discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is a cemetery item, and because Shar is the keeper of the cemetery, I would suggest she take that one.
I have a couple that would like us to buy back their cemetery lot at the cost of $500, which is what they paid for it.
Are there any costs to retitle it back or do anything like that?
No.
Nothing significant?
No.
Okay, go ahead, Sandy. You were going to.
Oh, well, I moved that the city buy back their cemetery plot.
We buy back a hotel room.
Okay, we need a second?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Since the next item is got Lori's name on it, I suggest that she might take this one.
I have a recommendation to accept the Teamsters Union contract. The contract is from January 1, 2025 through December 31st, 2026. There are a few revisions to the original contract that's in place right now, and that would be a uniform allowance increase to $900, the addition of Juneteenth holiday, the removal of deferred sick leave account, the addition of Minnesota paid family and medical leave language pursuant to Minnesota Statute 268B.14, increasing life insurance coverage from $20,000 to $40,000, increase shift differential pay from 75 cents per hour to $1 per hour, and wage scale increase 4% for 2025, and at 4% for 2026.
I move to approve the Teamsters Union contract as submitted.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? All in favor. Who's taking this one?
No.
It was in your additions.
Here, hand that to you. Get her one.
Sorry.
I have, okay, I have an MOU from the Teamsters, and this is passing the wage scale effective July 1st, 2024 through the end of this year. And the wage scale is shown here with the starting pay of $29.66 an hour to $38.71 an hour, and placing the existing employees on the new scale as shown.
I'll make a motion that we approve the memorandum
Second.
agreement.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, Jake. Commission reports.
Got a few things to go through tonight. First one, you guys have memos requesting the purchase of a new squad car, actually just putting in the order. I just found out the state bid is gonna end like the end of August here, early September. And we need to get the approval that I can at least put in the order. It'll be on next year's budget, because we won't be receiving the car till probably sometime next summer. That's how far behind they still are. So all I'm looking for is the approval to go ahead and place that order now.
So this is not budgeted in 2024.
No, it'll be on next year's budget.
I move to approve the order of a new squad car.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Thank you. Then we have, we just replaced this year our oldest car. So I was just looking at your request or I was looking to request to call it surplus and allow it to be sold. However, I was talking with TJ earlier today, and TJ doesn't want to drive his own personal truck for work anymore.
That's a good idea.
So this thing, you'll get a couple years out of it. It's a 2017 Ford Explorer. I really don't know the cost, but if we can work out something internally, you know, I don't know how that works with the budget, if he puts the money into our budget or whatnot, but.
I agree with that taking place. Do we need a motion for it?
I agree with it.
You should, yeah.
Okay, I move to allow Jake and TJ to work it out.
So as long as the lights stay on.
Yeah.
They're already off, buddy, already off. If you don't buff it, you can still read police on the side where the stickers used to be.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Carries.
All right, I did a lot of, applied for a few grants this year. The big one, and they're all through Sourcewell, through the same place. This big one, the first one we're gonna talk about is Public Safety Match Funds Grant. We could apply for up to $50,000. And the city would have to match 25% of that. So the city would have to match $12,500. And just because this is kind of a big one, I'm going to read the actual memo so the public can hear it and see where, I guess where I'm coming from with it. The Cross Lake Police Department would like to purchase a crew cab Polaris Ranger, ATV, a track system, and a trailer. The city of Cross Lake is 37 square miles and Mission Township is 36 square miles, both of which are mostly rural. There are many square miles of forests and trails that people frequently use for recreational activities and sometimes illegal activities. The city of Cross Lake hosts an annual St. Patrick's Day parade that draws thousands of people to the city. Cross Lake also hosts Winterfest and Cross Lake Days that also draw large crowds. With public safety always a top priority, the Cross Lake Police Department believes that having such a vehicle would be beneficial to use for locating missing persons, responding to medicals and rescues on trails. Travel after storms where getting around in a squad car has been impossible due to downed trees. Travel in blizzards where getting around in a squad car has been impossible due to deep snow. Responding to calls on frozen lakes, responding to calls in remote areas. Apprehending suspects that have fled on foot, apprehending suspects that have fled on ATVs or snowmobiles. Making arrests in remote areas, respond to underage drinking parties, patrolling during St. Patrick's Day Parade, Winterfest, and Cross Lake Days. I believe that it's crucial to always be prepared for inevitable circumstances. And all of these circumstances I have listed have already happened. And having such a vehicle would be very beneficial. This vehicle will not be used daily and will last many years. The total cost of what was listed would be about $51,000. That remaining $11,500 would be used to purchase some tactical gear such as ballistic shields for our officers and ballistic helmets and some less than lethal weapons such as a 40mm tactical launcher. So my plan is, we've been awarded the grant, so it's $50,000. It costs the city $12,500 to get that 50.
You have been awarded the grant.
Yes.
It says here that you have $5,000 of donation money.
I have $5,000 in donation money that I could put forward, so that brings the city cost down to $7,500. I kind of think it's a no-brainer to.
I'll make a motion that we go ahead and purchase the Polaris Ranger ATV with the Sourcewell grant of $50,000.
And it was recommended by the Public Safety Commission, too.
Yeah.
Second.
Just so you guys know.
Second the motion.
Okay, any other comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Jake, I commend you on, utilizing these grants,
Thank you. So I got a couple more to talk about quick. I won't get as thorough, but there was another one it was called a boost grant, kind of basically used for anything you might need. Our department has been borrowing gym mats from old, dirty, stinky gym mats from the school or for years.
So you want a pressure washer?
Yeah, that would be nice. And we've borrowed them from other places too. It's kind of a pain. So it's a $2,000 grant. It doesn't cost us anything. I applied for that and received it. I'm gonna buy some big, I think it was 3 gym mats that give us a big area downstairs and that we can do our annual defensive tactics training in. So I would just ask that you accept the grant.
Could we accept the grant?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. The last one is, so the county, so the sheriff's office and all other police agencies in the county, we're gonna be going to a new RMS system, which is basically the computer system that all of us in law enforcement run on. We couldn't do our job without it right now. And we're all in the same system. It's gonna be a shared system and a shared cost. The county's gonna take most of that cost, or a lot of it. And we're still working out the final numbers, but at the last meeting we had, we've been working on this for over a year and a half, but at the last meeting we had, the city's cost was gonna be roughly about $23,000 for year one, for the initial startup and get going type stuff. So I applied for a grant, third-party services reimbursement grant, for $20,000, and I was awarded that, and I would like to use that grant towards paying part of that $23,000 or whatever that number ends up being when the county finally has that number.
What's the carryover year after year cost of that program?
I don't have those numbers in front of me right now. It's not gonna, it's really not gonna be a question, whether we're gonna do it or not. It's gonna
We have
kind of
to.
be a necessity. We have to.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I'll make a motion that we accept the grant from Sourcewell for third-party services reimbursement.
Second.
So the city just winds up paying about $3,000.
Yep, well, yeah, we're not sure of that file number, but yes.
Right about that.
Somewhere maybe in, right in there,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, we got a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, carries.
Thank you. All
Don't
right.
you have any more?
Nope,
Okay.
if I did, I would have applied for them, I guess, but, Chip's probably got some. All right, last two things here. I received 2 letters of appreciation from Sergeant Joe Garcia at the Breezy Point Police Department. I'd like to read those. Chief Meyer, I'm writing to express my appreciation for the assistance provided by Officer Robert Willard on the scene of a highly volatile incident. On July 28, 2024, Officer Willard responded to assist with a report of a physical domestic disturbance with an armed suspect threatening suicide. While responding to assist, Officer Willard recognized the dynamic nature of the incident and coordinated with dispatch to ensure EMS was staged in the area. Additionally, Officer Willard assisted in maintaining the perimeter of the scene and secured it while the incident was investigated. Officer Willard's assistance during this potentially deadly encounter should not go unrecognized and is greatly appreciated. Please express my gratitude to Officer Willard. His actions during this incident reflect the great credit upon himself, the Cross Lake Police Department, and the City of Cross Lake. And the second one.
Good job.
Chief Meyer, I am writing to express my appreciation for the assistance provided by Officer Patrick Martin on the scene of a highly volatile incident. On July 28, 2024, same incident. Officer Martin responded to assist with the report of a physical domestic disturbance with an armed suspect threatening suicide. Upon his arrival, he coordinated with other responding officers to develop a plan to rescue the victims who were locked inside the residence and prevent the suspect from further harming them and himself. Officer Martin assigned to provide a non-lethal force option to officers as they approached a potentially armed suspect. Officer Martin effectively utilized the pepper ball launcher to control the suspect's movement and prevent him from barricading himself. After the suspect was stopped, Officer Martin assisted in controlling and handcuffing the suspect. Officer Martin's actions in the face of a rapidly evolving and dynamic incident are commendable. Officer Martin's actions undoubtedly were an integral part of the successful and safe resolution to this incident. Please express my gratitude to Officer Martin. His actions during this incident reflect great credit upon himself, the Cross Lake Police Department, and the City of Cross Lake. I'm going to, and
What did he say to you after that? I want to do it again.
Those will go in there.
They would. We got a really fine group of officers in the city, and we should all be proud of who we have and the job that they do. So I am putting those letters in their file for permanent retention.
Awesome.
In the personnel file. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks. Your turn, Chip. Yeah, Chief.
All right, so it's going to be like a repetition from what Jake said, so, Mr. Mayor, Council.
It's all good news.
My first grant from Sourcewell, I haven't applied for mine yet, I waited for council approval, just kidding. Is the Sourcewell Matching Funds, Local Government Public Safety. I'm not sure if you all read it, but the Cross Lake Fire Department is seeking Sourcewell Matching Fund grant to construct a 30 by 40 cold storage building at the fire station. Currently, the station lacks sufficient storage space to accommodate all department equipment, resulting in a scattered arrangement where equipment is stored at multiple locations across the city public works facility. This jointed setup poses challenges in terms of organization and quick access during emergencies and everyday operations. I'm not going to read the whole thing. Pat, you can attest to that we have stuff everywhere, and we like to get it all contained into one area. For example, this past Saturday for our pig roast, we couldn't find certain things, so we had to go Public Works, and we were a little behind schedule on our setup. But so with this grant, it's $50,000. I have quotes in there for the construction of the 30 by 40 cold storage building. I have a site plan. I've already talked to Paul. We've got that all taken care of. The match is 12.5, which the Relief Association will be covering.
Fantastic.
So I need a motion.
I'll make a motion to accept the grant.
Second. Have you got it yet?
I did not apply yet. I'm waiting till about 10 minutes and then I'll apply. The second one is the Sourcewell Impact Grant, Public Safety 2024, and that's a collaborative grant together. We are looking to submit a grant with Sourcewell for $250,000 in collaboration with Pequot, Lakes Fire, Ideal Township Fire, and Brainerd Fire. The City of Cross Lake will serve as the host for this grant application. The funds will be utilized to upgrade our current communication equipment, specifically the acquisition of armor, handheld, and mobile radios. Our existing radios are over 14 years old, and this upgrade is crucial to enhance our operational efficiency and interdepartmental communication during emergency responses. So what this is, we would be the host. We would pay Grant Electronics, and then it'd be my responsibility to disperse the radios, if we get this grant, to the departments that are collaboratively applying for this. So,
Well,
no cost, no match, it's a straight up.
We approve your intention to apply for this grant.
Second.
Thank
All in
you.
favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Carries.
Where am I now?
Chip, it looks like Ideal is going to pay the,
Yeah, they
The
wanted
difference?
more radios. Yeah, it's not very much, it's like $1,000. All right, so this one, next one is the Sourcewell Third-Party Services Reimbursement Program. I thought Shar would be up here doing this one, but I guess I am. So I am pleased to inform you about the opportunity to utilize the Sourcewell Third-Party Service Reimbursement Program. This program will enable the city to offset the costs of the GovOS platform for managing short-term rentals, making the transition more financially manageable for the city. It's up 100% of incurred costs of up to $20,000 per fiscal year. So we applied for it last week.
And that one was approved.
Yes, I didn't apply for that.
Cheryl did.
Shar applied for it.
No, Cheryl did.
Cheryl applied for it, we got the funding 2 days later, and so.
God, they got a
hopefully
lot
you'll
of
approve
money,
that.
huh?
I know.
I'll make a motion that we accept the grant.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, carries.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chip.
Hi, everyone. My name is Reed Nelson. I'm a captain with the fire department and also the treasurer of the Relief Association. And you've got in front of you a resolution for our department or our Relief Association to move to the statewide volunteer firefighter plan, which is administered by PARA. I came and talked to you guys, I think, about a meeting or two about the meeting or two ago about this, and we've gotten all of our information back. We actually did hold a special meeting last Wednesday and voted. It was unanimous vote amongst our membership to switch to this new para plan. A couple benefits that I've kind of bullet pointed down there. The biggest one, they'll actually perform our audit for us right now. As I mentioned last time, we've got a third-party CPA firm that's performing the audit. Which is also going to cut down on our expensive accounting fees, not only for the audit, but also every time we have to have our defined contribution schedule completed, that costs us a fee, and anytime we have to pay anybody out, we have to have a DC schedule prepared, which also costs us money. So they're going to take care of a lot of that administration. It's going to take it off of my plate, which again, Para would be the administrator of the plan. Right now, I'm kind of acting as a liaison between our wealth management company that we've got managing our funds and our department and our CPA involved, and also CHIP. So there's a lot of people involved, and this would cut most of that out. And there's a monetary incentive to join the plan, $10,000 per plan that they're paying out, and $1,000 per firefighter that they'll also include in it, and it's money that was set aside by the state legislature. So, as of last week, I did talk to somebody with Para, and they said those funds are still available. So, but it is a first come, first served basis. So, with that, does anybody have any questions?
Awesome.
And we are a defined contribution plan, and we will be staying as a defined contribution plan with this move. So, it doesn't change anything for the payouts for the city or what they're paying for the retirement right now. And we'd keep our same vesting schedule.
So Reed, do you need a
I
motion?
move to.
I would need a motion.
Yeah, I move to approve your opting to join the statewide volunteer firefighter plan. You were really high on it last time you talked about it, so I think it's a good one.
Second? Jackson?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, all in favor?
Thank you.
Thanks, Reed. Okay, TJ, you up?
Yeah, first item I have for you is a staff update. As you all know, I still have one vacant position up in the front that Michelle has graciously stepped up and really doing wonders for us up in the front in this time being. I have weighed options of how that position could look if we had a new position, if we stick with what we have. I have made the decision to, hopefully, or this is my recommendation, to open another opportunity for a program and facilities coordinator for that front desk. And the reason I'm sticking with that is I have some ideas on how to better run our office up in the front. We still do all waivers by paper, all registrations by paper. We write papered receipts. And if we can come up with a registration software system that takes off that workload, we're going to be able to focus on other things up in the front counter, which is what we desperately need. So my recommendation is to open up a position for program facilities coordinator and advertise for that. Currently, in the 2024 salary schedule, step 1 is $20.36 and step 10 is $26.59. And the salary range would be $42,348 to $55,307.
Is that a full-time position?
That is a full-time position in the union.
TJ, do you think that's adequate salary to attract the type of person that you require?
Well, this is going to be our third attempt at finding an adequate staff member up front there. This person does wear a lot of hats. Obviously, their main goal and objective is to welcome the patrons in at the front desk, but there's also a lot of things behind the scenes that people don't see. Program coordination with myself, working with my maintenance staff, so on and so forth. So there are a lot of hats to this position. It is a very important position within the Parks Department. I don't know if that pay looks a little different, if we could get somebody, a better candidate in that position. It's hard to tell. It's going to be the third round that we're going to be doing this, so.
Is that taking place of Michelle's position right now?
Jane, that was Jane's. Jane was in that role for many, many years before she got switched to the management role, but this is currently what Michelle is working on, yes.
I'm just wondering, since this is our third attempt, to find someone that can adequately fill that role, if it would be worth our while to increase the salary range.
I think we have a pay plan in the union contract that we'd have to change then.
Jackson?
Let's give it one more go, I think.
And just advertise 1 through 10 and see what we
Average,
get?
1 through 10 scale, wherever they plan or wherever they fall on experience will dictate.
So they could possibly start higher,
Okay.
yeah.
Well, if you guys are for it, I'll just put it everywhere I can. Advertise LinkedIn, Facebook, paper, put it everywhere.
Well, if we found someone really qualified and they requested more, we could always talk about it then, correct?
That's up to the council.
Laurie, you gotta say something. Grab the mic. We gotta get her a mic as well.
So as long as it's in a union contract, we would have to have an MOU. So first of all, we will have to advertise this. We could go up to step 10, but beyond that, we'd have to have an MOU. It could be part of the negotiations in the next go-round, but for today, that's where it stands.
Okay.
So work with Laurie on that, TJ, however you can do it.
Okay.
You need a motion?
I do.
I'll make a motion that we advertise the position in the union scale between 1 through 10.
I'll second that.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Now the master plan.
All right, some exciting things to share with you, council. We've been working on this master plan for just short of a year now through Bolton and Mink. We've had many commission meetings on this plan. We've had 2 open houses. We've invited the public to come give us feedback, look at it, see if this is something that they would like to see in their backyard. I've taken in roughly 50 surveys to let me know what they think of the plan and give me the feedback, positive or negative. Within one of those open houses, a parent actually shared with me that our potential location for a future splash pad just didn't make sense with making sure that she has all eyes on her kids. It was located roughly right here, just south of the proposed new pickleball courts. And she mentioned it would be tough to have somebody playing at the playground and at the splash pad at the same time. So we did hear her through that, and we did move that up to the north of the playground. Everything else was really positive. Folks were really excited. Obviously, funding right now at this point, we still have to research that and get those numbers in. I don't have any grants like Jake or Chip tonight to share with you, but if you approve this plan, that'll help me to work on those grant opportunities and work with other organizations in town here. So yeah, we tried to do as much homework as we could. We tried to listen to the community as much as we could. We're really excited about this as a department. We think going into the future, this is really going to be something pretty special that we can really be proud of. So yeah, I guess the first motion that I would like to have you guys entertain, or a recommendation towards that effect, would be to approve this conceptual master plan. And I want to say bold conceptual, because this is just a guide for the future. This doesn't lock anything in. It's just to help us as we continue through development of the park.
I'll make a motion to accept the conceptual plan.
Strongly second that.
TJ, a question for you. What is between the hockey rink and the pickleball courts on the north side of the warming house?
That ribbon,
Open skate? What is that?
that's recreational skating to keep the smaller tykes off the main hockey area. And then to the north there, that's just a potential skating ribbon that's been identified as a potential extra. Not something that we would be looking at putting in right away, but just a loop.
Yeah.
See, TJ, what would go where where the existing field is now? Next to the proposed field, what's going to replace the,
You're looking to look at my mouse here on this, right here?
no, up by the,
Right here?
yeah,
You're saying what?
to the left of that.
The ball field would stay there. So the baseball field is currently there. It would stay there. It's just kind of covered up with clouds because it's identified as a existing amenity.
Okay, I didn't know if you were replacing it or.
No, it would stay there.
Okay.
All right, we got a motion to second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries.
Looks
Good
great,
job,
TJ.
TJ.
Well, thank you. Item 3 is also pertaining to the master plan. And as you heard from Peter and the rest of the pickleball gang, they have reached their goal of $70,000. And we also have funds available that we take in from memberships, day passes, punch cards, tournaments, banners, etc. So our goal, and I know it's the goal of the pickleball group that they've raised that money, is to break ground in the spring of 2025 to get those 4 courts put in. Approximate numbers are coming back right now at $25,000 per court, which we're sitting at $100,000. And like I said, we'd be able to identify those funds through the donations and our fund balance, and we wouldn't touch any taxpayer dollars.
Awesome.
It would be, so we would look at that, and then also potential, so this is phase 1 we're talking about, a potential of adding that parking lot to the west there. I have yet to get some numbers back on that and funding sources, so I talked to Lori this afternoon. We've identified it as a part of phase 1, but I don't want to yet include that in a motion yet because I don't know where those funding sources are coming from. So I guess what I'm looking for you all tonight is to get approval and a recommendation to break ground on those 4 courts in 2025.
I move that we break ground in 2025.
All right.
Stage 1.
I think we all were going to second that one.
Thanks, guys.
All in favor?
Aye.
You survived it.
Good job, TJ.
Wait, we have some talented people, don't we?
Dedicated. Patrick?
All right, the first thing is the MEI quote to maintain the elevators for 4 times a year. They will come and service the elevator, inspect the elevator, and it puts us in state compliance for $882 a year.
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with MEI for $882 a year for elevator services.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries.
Phil, did you want to do this, the next 2, or? the irrigation?
So quickly, through the course of aesthetic enhancements in the city, working with the county on what it would look like at the intersection of Cassath 3 and 66, it was always kind of decided that we would have a lot of vegetation that would be added to the roundabout, and we would put irrigation there as well as electrical service. So through the development of the plans, we also added vegetative enhancements to the area by the Andy's parking lot. That was always going to be separate. The county said, we decided to do that separate with the city so we didn't have to follow all of the federal requirements and stuff. It's a city cost. The irrigation quote we have, it's working with the Chambers Irrigation Company, is $17,918.68, and that's to provide irrigation zone to the roundabout and then to the Andes area. It's a drip irrigation system. Because we are having a raised roundabout center that'll be 3 or 4 feet tall, we have to have a backflow preventer in the irrigation system as well. So originally the price for just the roundabout center was going to be $10,000. When we were putting this all together, we've added the additional piece. It's now $17,918.68. So we would like approval to retain Derek Sievert to get that work done and to coincide with the county's contractor who's going to be working on that later this week and beginning of next week.
Well, I move to approve the hiring of Derek Sievert to do the irrigation.
Second.
Phil, is this is an additional cost that we had not anticipated prior to this, am I correct?
This is more than we had anticipated by $7,000. We had anticipated, we budgeted $10,000 in the original cost share with the county.
So it's up 8,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
we're also down when we get all said and done, I think we're going to be pretty close or less than what we originally estimated in the whole net.
Thank you. Answer my question.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
So then the second item, and this was a question raised by the Chamber of Commerce. So we are going to be using some of their water in their well. They pay for the cost of pumping that out. And so as you see in the motion here, to try and address that, the Public Works Commission said, let's add $200 to the $3,500 that the city already gives to the Chamber of Commerce to try and cover that additional cost of essentially using some of the water. So, and there's some electric associated with obviously pumping that water out as well. So that's part of this too, is the Public Works Commission is saying, let's try to address so that the Chamber of Commerce doesn't take on additional cost as a result of this. Let's up their cost or their give from the city by $200. I will say that the city, and Pat and I are trying to work with an electrician to get a separate service to the roundabout so that we're not impacting the Chamber of Commerce at all. This is just related to the irrigation.
Okay.
I'll make a motion that the utility usage agreement with the chamber be approved.
Second.
Okay, let's have some discussion on
And
it.
just, can we adjust that amount, based on, examination of the usage?
Yeah,
of it?
that's a great point. I think in the Public Works Commission, we we recommended 200. We figured after seeing it for a year, we'd know whether it was the right amount or it should be up. The chamber should have a good idea of what they've spent in the past and now what are they doing as a result. So I think it'd be something you'd look at every year.
Maybe I can add something. Cindy and I met last week on Wednesday, and we worked out an agreement where the city would pay in addition, whatever was above $740 for the electricity. And
That's yearly.
Yearly, yeah. And we tried to keep the agreement as simple as possible so that if and when they did leave and the Historical Society had to do something with that building, we'd be probably adjusting that agreement at that time. But in the interim, I think we have an agreement that will work. And that was part of the council package too. I think that's what Marcia just approved. or the marshes.
Right.
And to piggyback on that, Jerry, the maintenance for the irrigation currently, I believe, is $280 a year, and the city is also agreeing to pay whatever the additional costs
Yeah.
are,
Right.
just for the maintenance.
Yeah, all that agreement's in your packet.
So there's no expiration on this agreement, and now you're talking about that you want to maybe look at it every year, the costs associated with it. So there's nothing that provides for that in here, too.
Is it?
Where is the?
Is there some language? I didn't see that in the agreement.
I'm
Is there some
confused as
language?
to what you just approved, or what you made a motion for. I thought you were approving the 3,700.
We,
That was the second motion on the first memo?
No, utility agreement.
Because, okay,
I-
Bill was
Isn't that
talking
what-
about the 3,700.
So we'll come back to that.
Okay, I guess.
I thought we already approved that.
I'm just saying that if we're going to say we might, or that the chamber wants, or the city, whichever the case may be, are going to change the costs associated with it, that should be in here, because we have it just listed.
So, yeah, what I read to you was what the Public Works Commission recommended.
Oh, okay.
But Jerry just indicated he had a further discussion with
I
with
had,
That's for electric, not for water.
oh, yes, it applies to both, quite frankly. The water charges are minimal. We don't even know how to,
We're not going to add 200 to the 3,500?
that was not the intent. The intent was not to use the 3,500. The intent was to use the agreement that the chamber and I negotiated, which is G3C. And it doesn't, it's a simplified agreement rather than having a specific amount each year. And it's supposed to reflect the increased use based on what is being today.
My motion was for this utility agreement.
Yes.
That's it. So if there's something else that has to be approved,
So let's go ahead.
forward.
Well, the 3,700, Jerry, then we should not have approved that. We should have left that at 3,500.
Actually, you shouldn't be approving anything at all as far as 35 or 37. The agreement that is there is based on, we owe the increase from what has been traditionally paid by the chamber. The intent is to hook right onto the system for the water and to run a line, and as that two-page agreement states. Quite frankly, I didn't know that the Public Utilities Commission had even talked about that one, because I came in late to the meeting. But I met with Cindy last Wednesday to work out something that was simple that we could use going forward, recognizing that there may be a time when we have to revise this.
Right, it just covers the additional costs that the chamber's going to incur for sprinkling the island.
Marcia, did your motion cover G?
Just this, just the utility usage agreement,
G3C.
G3C, that's it.
Yep.
That's all I was,
So we've got a motion and a second on that. Do we need to clarify? Are you good with that? Can we vote? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed. Now, the $3,500, just leave it alone?
That has nothing to
Nothing
do
to
with
do with
this.
this. That's what you've done annually,
Yep.
you've given, so.
Yep.
okay.
Okay,
Melinda Shores Bridge repair, is that the next thing? Okay, so we did get one bid for repair of the wing walls of the Melinda Shores Bridge. That was by ACM. They provided a,
No, that's, sorry, not next.
okay.
Brookwood Circle.
Same thing, Phil proposed Brookwood Circle. There's a spot in the blacktop that's sunk and it leaves a puddle in front of one lady's house. And it's been there, would you see, 2014 or 15 it was there
Yeah.
too?
Yep.
So we were gonna originally just put a French drain in, then Phil looked at it and decided we could fill it in with blacktop, make the problem go away. So we just need permission from you guys to,
We
You don't think
we
that'll-
think we can make the problem go away, and this is a cheap way to look at it.
Do you think it'll continue to going down?
I do. I think if you raise that, it won't
So
puddle
we
there.
should
It'll
put a
just
2-inch crown on it and anticipate?
It'll get to a green spot, so, where nobody's building on, so.
Until it settles some more. and then
Yeah.
it'll be- But
but
it'll be
it's
a
gonna be
quick
one of the
fix.
roads that needs to be redone too.
I'd crown it a little bit, Pat.
Not a problem.
So we need a motion for that?
Yes.
I move to approve the repair of Brookwood Circle, 12394 Brookwood Circle.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Carries. Okay,
No.
now
Now,
Melinda
Phil.
Shores.
Okay, well, we got bids. If you recall, you told us to get bids, or we were requested to get bids for a concrete modular block, wing wall repair, or wood. The quote for the modular block was $80,420. The wood was $66,180. We budgeted $125,000 for this improvement. So we're recommending you go forward with the $80,420
Right.
to do the concrete block. It's longer lasting, less maintenance.
Yep.
It will be under budget.
I'll make a motion to go with the $80,000 concrete block bid.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
That's 50,000 less, right?
Yeah.
Well worth it.
Hoorah.
Yeah.
Close.
Hoorah, hoorah.
All right, and the last thing is we have the resignation letter from Zach Knobloch that you guys need to make a motion on.
I'll make a motion to accept the letter of resignation.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Paul, are you there? Are you going to take P and Z?
Yeah, sure am. All right, well, good evening, Mr. Mayor and City Council. I've got 3 items on the agenda for tonight. First being the preliminary plat, followed by the final plat of Antler Park First Edition, subdividing parcel 143300076, involving 0.2 acres into 6 individual tracts. This is an amendment to the plat that was approved about 2 years ago, the first plat. The building itself was a part of the original plat. So the amendment is to subdivide the building into 6 different parcels. This is in a limited commercial district. Attached in the packet is the proposed preliminary plat that was brought to the Planning Commission on July 26th and was unanimously recommended to be brought to the City Council for approval. So what we are looking for tonight is an action request for the approval of the preliminary plat of Antler Park that has been recommended by the Planning Commission, followed by an action request for the approval of the final plat of Antler Park. So please let me know if you've got any questions.
So Paul, this is like one building?
Yeah, so it was platted as a CIC plat, which is a common interest community plat. And so the building was already part of the original plat. So that was already in there. So now he's just dividing that building that was already approved into 6 individual parcels.
And what are those 6 individual parcels? What's the intended use?
The intended use is for storage. And just so you are asking, because this building was a part of the original CIC plat and the established use had already been put in place with 2 existing buildings right next door. This does not, or the moratorium will not work, or I should say the moratorium does not apply to this plat. And so I've discussed that with our city attorney. So it is personal storage on 6 individual parcels that he is looking at selling.
Okay.
I move to approve the preliminary and final plat of Antler Park First Edition.
Second. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I have a question. Have we accepted park dedication on these?
I know that this was recommended to accept cash. I don't know if the check has been submitted or not. It has been. Cheryl just said yes.
Okay, so the council needs to,
Approve that. So we made the, Park Commission made the motion on Friday at our special meeting to accept cash in lieu of land. for the
I'll make the
subdivision.
motion to accept cash in lieu of land.
well, that can just be added to the motion that's on the,
I'll add it to my motion that we accept park dedication fees also.
Second.
Thank you.
Good?
It's fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Motion carries.
And then we'll also need action request for the approval of the final plat. That was the preliminary, and so we would need the same a motion for the final plat.
We need a,
Paul, was there a separate packet for the final?
Yes, there should have been
I know.
an application that was, a final application that was submitted.
so you just need a motion to approve the final plat?
Shar, is it not in there?
I just have the preliminary here.
There's two different issues here.
So.
The first,
I thought
the
you
first
made a motion
issue,
to do, I thought you made a motion to do both.
this is a new one, right?
Is this,
No, Paul's talking about the one we just did.
Well, the one we just did, yes. It was.
Yep, it's similar to
plat
any
and
plat,
the-
so
and
a
the
preliminary and a final needs to get, both need to get approved.
So you need a motion to approve the final plat for, which is at Antler Park First Edition. I thought that's what I did.
That was the preliminary plat.
Oh, preliminary, now final. Okay, I said
Correct.
final the first time, but I should have said preliminary. Okay.
That was what-
Is this are we on the Rolling Woods one?
No,
No,
Where are
No,
we at?
we're still on.
we are still on Antler Park, so I
Oh, Antler Park yet.
okay, I'll move we approve the final plat of Antler Park First Edition now that we've approved the preliminary plat and collected fees.
I'll second that. Okay.
All in favor?
All in favor? I'm sorry.
Aye.
all right.
Okay,
Sorry for
then-
sorry for any
Are you
confusion there.
taking it,
Just
Paul?
can't vote.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Paul.
All right, moving on, second agenda, or second on the agenda for tonight is the request for an official land use map amendment on parcel 141000709 off of Wilderness Trail and White Pine Trail from rural residential 5 to the Shoreland District, involving approximately 18.3 acres. The parcel to the south and east are both zoned Shoreland District. The parcel to the north is zoned Rural Residential 5, and the parcel to the west is zoned both Rural Residential 5 and Shoreland District. So roughly 14.5 acres of the existing parcel is currently zoned Shoreland District, and the request is to consolidate the top northwest corner and make the entire parcel zone Shoreland District. So you can see in your attached packet on the certificate of survey where a dotted line shows where the transition from the Shoreland District to the Rural Residential 5 it takes place in the upper left. So the land use amendment was brought to the Planning Commission on July 26th and was a 4-to-1 vote to be recommended to be brought to the City Council for your approval. So what we are looking for tonight is an action request for the approval of an official land use map amendment that changes parcel 141000709 from R5 or Rural Residential 5 to all Shoreland District.
Paul, is it roughly just bringing in those 3 lots into conforming with the Shoreland District that's already there?
Correct.
Yes,
Yep.
that.
So it's like
Yep,
3.8
That's
acres.
it.
Yeah.
That's where I'm scribbling there.
Six,
That's what's in-
That's it.
Yeah.
6 is not a part of that, or is it?
Well,
6
it's a-
is
it's a-
out of the
it's a
shoreland
part of
district
it, but
completely.
As I understand it, it's not going to be sold.
6,
Okay, that's correct.
So it's not that whole huge north track?
It's
that
just-
33 point whatever
It'll
acres?
affect Lot 4, Lot 5. It will affect Lot 6, but Lot 6 is not going to be sold.
Right.
That's what we're told. And it will have it'll brush, I don't see a lot number 9, I think it is.
yeah, that one,
It
So-
just touches
Yeah,
that.
but does it go all the way to here, Marcia? Or,
So is it basically 3.8 acres that
There's
is going
the
to be
shoreline.
affected? And then, so,
You're correct.
Correct.
okay, that's
Yeah.
it.
but the,
Sandy's correct.
Yeah.
Okay.
the whole
I
thing
just-
is, the
So
whole,
people can see what we're talking
Yeah.
about.
but
what's going to
the,
be done with the Lot 6? If it's not going to be sold?
So it is gonna be its own individual parcel, so it is part of, well, it's going to be part of the proposed plat. So it's gonna be no different than any other lot. It still meets the requirements of a shoreland district lot.
Okay.
so it's going to be, it's going to be included in the shoreland.
Correct, yep, and that is what's being proposed, is for that whole area to be zoned shoreland district. So yeah, lot 6 would be included in that.
So is the intention is there going to be like a development here?
Mhm.
Is that the,
There is a shed.
There's 13 lots, of which 12 will be sold.
okay.
Did I state that correctly?
So
Yes.
And they're each about an acre?
when there's parcels with 2 zoning, when it's a split zoning parcel, it can go either way, right? It could go shoreland or it could go in the R5 district.
It
Is
could
that
have
right?
been left in the R5, that's correct, Marcia.
But if you wouldn't even have to change Form 5, you could go with a shoreland district because part of it is
They applied
shoreland
to-
district.
They applied to formally have it brought into
Yeah.
the others, so that's what the commission did. They approved that part.
So they want to pull in 4, 5, and 6
Yeah.
into shoreland district.
They approved to submit to council recommending that we accept it.
And these are going to be about 1 acre lots? Is
A
that
little
right?
over, just a touch over.
Okay,
Yep.
okay, well. I move to approve the rezoning of those 3 lots from R5 to
I'll
shoreline.
second it.
Any discussion? Questions? All
All in
approve?
favor?
All in favor of approval?
Aye.
Opposed? None? Carried.
All right, so my last item on the agenda, or my agenda for tonight, now looking at this, the same parcel, so it'd be a preliminary plat of Rolling Woods subdividing 18.3 acres into 13 individual tracts and 3 outlots presented by Jim Burt. The developer at this time plans to keep the road private, coming off of White Pine Trail that intersects Wilderness Road. Attached in your packet is the proposed preliminary plat that was brought to the Planning Commission on July 26th and was unanimously recommended to the City Council for approval. Only conditions at this time would be a developer's agreement to be signed with the city in conjunction with the final plat application. So what we would be looking for tonight is an action request for the approval of Rolling Woods preliminary plat subdividing 18.3 acres into 13 individual tracts and 3 outlots.
I move to approve the preliminary plat of Rolling Hills subdividing parcels.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Now, Paul, do
And-
we need to do the final?
You're noting that Dave
Not at this time.
abstained both times?
Just preliminary.
Okay. I just-
I think that's it for me.
That's a first.
All right, next is public forum.
I meant that time.
Action may or may not be taken on any issue raised. If council requires more information or time for consideration, the issue will be placed on the agenda of the next regular meeting. Does anybody have anything?
Oh my gosh, are you serious?
Not seeing anybody move, we'll close the public forum. City attorney report. Jordan, do you have anything?
I do, yes. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Just one item to follow up on from last month. At the July City Council meeting, we were asked to review a potential conflict of interest issue. And if you recall, the issue was whether there was a conflict of interest to have the city engineer also be hired to work for a property developer. And it's my understanding that the city engineer does not typically enter into those type of arrangements just as a matter of course. But we still reviewed, determined whether there was a potential conflict. And in short, the answer is yes, that would create a conflict of interest. I don't know if there's any pending considerations on that matter, but I just wanted to report back with those findings.
All right. Thank you, Jordan. Any new business?
Are we going to schedule budget meetings? Don't we have to have our preliminary in September? Levy?
Yes, this is day 6, so every time I go into work on it and try and look at it, I've been sidetracked. But it is my intention. I have department head meetings scheduled for Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, and I'm hoping to make headway. And so Cheryl and I will be looking at the budget as it's in both of our job descriptions. And so we should be setting something, but if you wouldn't mind, I'd like to get back to you by Monday and we could pick a date.
Okay.
Paul, are you still up there?
Yes.
What time tomorrow morning?
Our workshop is at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning.
Thank you.
Or no,
Not
I'm sorry.
tomorrow
Our
morning.
workshop's on Wednesday.
Wednesday.
Our workshop's on Wednesday. Wednesday at 9 o'clock.
Thank you.
Any other new business? Any old business?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
We're not there yet.
Oh, we're not? What do we have?
Okay, we need a motion to adjourn.
I need a second.
All in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, Jackson, you set up.
To help do what?